Hit the button. Christian Counseling II. Yeah, it's going to be boring. You watch. All single folks out here, you watch. Christian Counseling II, Lecture 16. Dating. Alright, not dating. Not data entering. Dating. Definitions. In the Webster's it says, to date is to note or fix the time of an event or transaction. I'm going on a date. Dave Warner's version of how you describe dating: the process of involvement in closely emotional and physical relationships with another without the legal encumbrances of marriage. Today's current term is, I find out now, is in a relationship. According to my son Joshua, on Facebook, people that are dating or serious about someone, they say, I'm in a relationship. Have you seen that? Have anyone seen that?
Yes.
That's all what they're saying it is now. Okay, that sounds better than it used to be, I'm going out with, or I'm seeing somebody. You can see them, you're going out with them, outside your house, outside Walmart. What does that mean, going out with? That's really romantic. In a relationship, that sounds good. What type of relationship? Okay. Court, to flatter, to endeavor, to please by civilities and address, to woo, to solicit, to seek. You're going to court? Okay, my definition of courting: the process of involvement in a formal, each word matters, parent-led, or you can say authority-led, non-physical relationship with another of the brother of the opposite gender, with its intentions being for future marriage. I mean, that's the intention. You don't have to be married. It's not like you're glued into it. But so that's courting, and that's what I recommend. You can have any kind of definition you want for it, add, subtract from what I have. It's however you feel led to do it as a parent, as a pastor, as a person. Can a Christian date and please the Lord? Well, it depends on how you define date. I like the word court because date, most people envision in their mind going out on dates by yourself, and it's all kind of sensual, woo, romantic. Maybe they're going to kiss, maybe they're not. Maybe they're going to go home together and all these things. See, I don't want you to think that way. It's wicked. God's ways are 180 degrees opposite the world's ways. So if the world does it this way, God does it this way. In the context of a loose definition, so on Christian dating, we'll just kind of leave it loose. It could be a lot of different things. Christian dating. Consider some of these questions. What would be your, so we're talking about Christian counseling. You're going to give counsel to someone. Well, is it wise for a young single person to go out on a date? You know what that means. I would say, no. How about if they're 40 years old? Well, they're 40 years old. It should be just fine. Really? So this is where we have troubles. Young people, we have this level of principles to follow. But if you're older, we trust you. Same problems when you're older. What should be the purpose of should it be mandatory that they have chaperones? You go on a date with this person you're in lust or love with, should you have someone there to kind of keep track of you? Well, of course not. What kind of a date would that be? A wise date. And then who should chaperone? Your dog? Your 8-year-old brother or cousin? Another friend who might be in cahoots with you on it? No, probably a sheriff's deputy. the girl's father. Yeah, you're going, what? Yeah, have the girl's dad there. I guarantee you won't try and kiss her real quick unless he's a wicked man. You'd get a shotgun blast to your brains. Well, maybe not that, but if he's a godly man and that's his daughter, you don't touch, my friend. What should be the purpose of dating someone? Well, to have fun. Should the parents or another authority permission be obtained first? Yes. Who owns that girl? Well, no one. She's 18. Yeah, but who would be very upset if you did anything to her granddaddy? Okay, go talk to him. Talk to the person who would be most upset. Well, obviously, it's going to be the father. If there's no father, an uncle, a brother, someone who says, hey, you don't mess with, she's my whatever. Now if she says, she's my wife, you better not be messing with. Should the person's pastor or church leader be sought out for guidance on the dating relationship? Yes. But how many invite me into the relationship? 0. They might ask for some counsel, but they don't want to ruin it for them. Hey guys, where are we going together, huh? Want to go out to eat? Can't wait! Who's buying? Dating is basically a trial and error phenomenon. So I've been on many dates. Before I met my wife, sad. Not that I had a whole bunch, but a fair number in a short period of time. Very bad. Thus, dating is not based upon discerning the will of God, but rather it's based upon a luck chance phenomenon. Hopefully, this one works out. Cute, you know, seems nice. We'll just see what happens. And maybe after you get a little more serious, you go, better pray, Dear God, if this person that I'm madly in love with is right, just let me know it. A little bit late for that. Most that date simply keep trying out one potential boyfriend or girlfriend after another until Mr. and Mrs. Right comes along. Sometimes this could be in the number of 20, 30, 40, even 50 of these physical / emotional / I'm in love encounters until they finally find that special one, or really not so special one. And today, you know what dating usually leads to. I mean, even one date, but definitely this takes a few dates. You're fornicating in today's world. Back in the 50s, oh no, you didn't. At least didn't let anyone know about that. So potentially 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 different sexual partners, encounters. And then you find Mrs. Right or Sister Right. How special will that be? Well, maybe she's a virgin, but for you, you're whatever the term is. You could say a loser, nasty, dirty. You don't deserve anything pure and chaste. There's not many out there that are that way anyways. So, they usually base this dating process on when the time is right that will come along in my life. Oh, when the time is right, you believe in fatalism? It's my lucky day, stars are in alignment just right. Many, where do you find the good girls? Hey, you go to clubs and bars, right? Malls? Nah, that's a little better. Concerts? Probably not. Walmart? Where should you go find a godly gal or a godly man? Where godly people hang out at?
Church.
In churches. Church events. There you go. How does this trial and error falling in love methodology fit into the seeking of the will of God? It doesn't. So you need to get God's will involved with this. That's where this kind of courting principle comes in. You've got authority involved. You understand this is serious beeswax. And you talk to the parents of that girl, if you're the guy. For the girl, you just wait for him to do that. It's a totally non-physical relationship. Including hand-holding. Well, hand-holding isn't that bad. Hey, when I first held a girl's hand, I was sweating like I don't know what type of animal that would be. No, after the 15th day of maybe holding her hand, it was cool, and I was moving on to that whole thing. I guess it's okay. And then what? He goes, I didn't do that, but I've heard people doing that. I was actually, the girl was doing it to me, I was too scared to. Here's one of the big problems with this ideology. Once they do indeed get married, they have already set themselves up for a probable failure. They practice for years this process of entering into a close relationship, a really close relationship, and then they get kind of, what happens, They have an argument, they just get tired of it, meet someone better, and they move on. This happens. How many times? The practice continues into the marriage mentality too. So the danger is you can take that on in, and you will take it on into your marriage, and then things aren't going so well. You hold on a little bit more because it's marriage, but then you divorce. Now, it's not always your fault, I know, but this can happen. So that's why dating sets you up for probable failure in a marriage. Now, I've only been married once, but I dated. So it doesn't always turn out that way, but you better allow God to work, because it will likely turn out that way. Because I can get very dissatisfied with things fast. I'm one of those people. Not everyone in the church is doing it my way. Get rid of them, get new people. Well, it doesn't work that way, does it?
No.
It does not. I'm stuck with them for life!
Until you go to College Station.
Woohoo! Things are looking brighter in the future. No, I'm kidding. Totally kidding you. I'll edit that out later.
Totally
yes, I'm partly kidding. Going on. I better go on. So, it easily shifts and rather from trial and error dating to trial and error marriage. So, also dating teaches infidelity. Its goal, when someone, especially a guy, is going to date someone, the goal is not marriage. The goal is have fun, feel good, sensual gratification. Going out on a date is not to, I want to learn more intellectual, I want to have an intellectual stimulation, have a little debate, I want to learn what they think about this subject. No, you usually have such simple talk, almost nothing, and you just giggle a lot and kind of look at each other and whoa, what's happening here? I'm feeling, are you feeling the same way too? All these songs from my head, all these lyrics from the Wicked World. Yes, I'm feeling that way too. Dating was created by the world, not by God. In dating, love equals sex. Virginity equals weird. First you live together, then you might get married. Fall in love, ask questions later. See, God is the author of this type of confusion. And I believe if you're dating the way the world does, even if you kind of say, at least we won't fornicate. Oh, great. You don't have God's blessing on it. You can pray all you want. God wants you to follow principles clearly seen in the Bible. So here's a summary of some blatant problems that you're going to have if you practice the world's way of dating. So if you're going to counsel someone, some of these you might want to bring up. How would that go? You can say, dating, if you're going to follow the world's way, the foundation of it is sexuality. Sensuality, sexuality. It's totally based on that, at least in the guy's viewpoint. Girls, you might say, I just want romance. Well, that's still in the same category. You don't necessarily really care about kissing, maybe, that sort of thing. Maybe it's okay, but it's not really what you're after. Well, the guy is totally after that. Am I wrong? In general, on guys that date, even Christian guys, when they want that, whatever, kiss, we'll say. The main goal of the relationship is making oneself feel good. Dating is all about pursuing some level of physical intimacy with the chosen partner. And I don't know about the girl's side, I just know on the guy's side. That is what it's totally about. And I could say many things, but I won't. Dating develops a self-centered, feeling-oriented concept of, love or relationship. So it's all about what makes me feel good. And if I don't feel good anymore, this thing stinks. That's why you drop them. How it goes, just love them and leave them. Dating creates a close emotional and often physical bond between two people who have no thoughts at all about a future marriage to that person. That's not too smart. But some would say, well, I want to be careful who I marry. I don't just marry anyone. But you'll kiss and fornicate with anyone? Maybe you don't do that. You get a close emotional bond with just anyone? That's not wise at all. Dating teaches people to break off the relationship if difficulty or boredom comes. And that pattern is going to be set for a marriage. Dating creates a standard of comparison by which mates are first chosen, but after marriage, rejected. I won't get into that very much at all. It's hard to understand that. But, if you're intimate with them, you kind of know a lot about them, don't you? And so, if you date that way, and most of them you are intimate with, then when you go to marriage, well, they're not as good or whatever as so-and-so and so-and-so. That's in your mind, and then because of that, if you're a sexual-oriented person like a lot of guys are, they're no good anymore. And you're married to them. And they're not, I won't say the dirty words, but they're just not satisfying to you because of what you're expecting in your mind. So you leave them. Very dangerous. That's why virginity is so important. Haven't you heard this before? If you allow me just this moment, because it's a classic statement I've heard from people. Well, we need to know if we're compatible. Don't worry, I'm not going to go down that road, but because just if we like each other enough, and if we're just things go okay in intimacy. All right, God knows these things. Don't worry about that. If it's God's will, it'll be just fine and dandy. But then you got this whole comparison. I wish I was a virgin before marriage. I wasn't. I've said that before. I wish I was. Well, how special that would have been. It had all these so-called comparisons. I prayed to God that I could forget it all, and for the most part I have. I don't ever, even for a half a second, think of someone I've dated before or was intimate with It's just so distant. I don't want to even let's just move on now, but I don't want that to come in my mind ever. It's done. It's another person, another existence. Hallelujah, but it still affects you. Oh, it does. Dating develops an appetite for variety and change, creating dissatisfaction within to death do us part marriage. Sorry, death do us part. So you just, 3 or 4 years into the marriage, this is boring. I want somebody else. Dating causes late marriages. Leaving more time for falling into sins associated with singleness. So that whole dating, because you're getting satisfaction from it, it's okay. Why get married? You're living together, why get married? I get the legal benefits of it, I guess. Dating lacks the protections and guidance afforded by parental involvement in the courtship. So you're basically on your own. In Italy, it's weird. They don't do it in Mexico, but we'd see this on a Friday evening all over the place. Cars with newspapers all over the windows. I won't say anything more. All over the place in these little village towns in Italy. Wonder if Dad's in there. I hope not. Let's go on quickly on that thought. Dating allows for intimacy without commitment. This relationship is totally based upon you satisfying me, sexuality. There's no other commitments made. And I remember some dating experiences I had where we just kind of discussed it briefly and said, just no real commitments here, right? Right. I didn't like that though. It sounds so cheap. But sometimes a girl would say that. I just don't want you to, think that we're like, I can't see anyone. Okay. I see what type of girl you are. Dating reverses the order for a healthy relationship, with the physical being first in importance and the spiritual dead last, or probably non-existent. How should it be? Spiritual, totally in front. The most important thing. Physical, non-existent. See how it's totally opposite? Not talking when you're married. When you're married, still physical is last, but it exists. Yeah. Usually spiritual is dead last, even in a marriage. Dating and its associated infatuation often isolates a couple from other vital relationships, including family, friends, and church, because they're dating now, and now nothing else matters in their life. You've lost them. And maybe they come to church, but they're all this about themselves. Is it an 18-year-old or 16-year-old in the family? Now he's on the phone, texting, computer, with this other person, and you never see him or talk to him. Dating is the ultimate socially acceptable method of getting away from parental involvement and authority in one's life. He's dating someone and now they're off on their own, and the parents never see him. Okay, we'll go down to parental involvement and take a break and crack our necks. Now, is courting or this type of thing supported in the Bible at all? Now here's something that's not really courting. It's arranged marriages. But the principles here are Bible, and I like them. I've just tweaked it a bit for what I have defined courting as. So I'll read it and then we'll dive in real quick. We'll fly over it. So there's not really many examples in the Bible about obtaining a wife. Remember Samson? Boo! Get her for me. She pleases me well. The parents go, yes, Samson. What? Wouldn't do that. But here we have in Genesis 24, Isaac and Rebekah. So Isaac is whose son? Abraham's son. The first mention of marriage is with Adam and Eve, by the way. We'll go somewhere other place right now. Look at this. And in this process, remember what happened? Adam was actually unconscious during the whole process. That may be a good plan also. Adam needed to learn that he couldn't pick out a helpmeet. He needed God to do it for him. God designed the helpmeet. Brought the helpmeet, there's a lot there. Brought the helpmeet to him and said, there she is. But he had a choice in the matter. Obviously said, yeah, you're better than these animals. And Eve might not have been that attractive, someone said. But to Adam, his only comparison was with aardvarks and sea bass, as someone said. And there, yeah. So she was at least better. So ladies, no, don't say it. Let's go on. Yeah. So many don't like to use this Genesis 24 account as a template. Hey, but where in the Bible is a better example given about obtaining a wife? Where? And don't you think God wants us to know how to do this? Have some wise guidance? So I think this is it. Not the only one, but the main one to use. Abraham. So if you know the story, not, you have to look up Genesis 24. So he's in charge of it all, so the father is in charge. Don't let the kid lead. He's involved, of course, but don't let him lead. Now, I wouldn't necessarily do it exactly how it's set up in Genesis 24. It is Old Testament, a different culture. But I would take the main principles and apply them. Eleazar is typifying the Spirit of God. He went out as a servant to go take care of everything, get it all set up. So the Spirit of God involved, so it's got to be a spiritual endeavor. Mesopotamia, that was his own people. So you want someone of like faith. Not a Buddhist, not an atheist, and not just a Christian, though that's better than a non-Christian, but and not just a Baptist, meaning they go to a Baptist church, not just an independent Baptist. The most important part of it all is the last one I said, they're godly. You just think of their independent fundamental Baptists, just like you, totally in their beliefs, but they live a wicked life. That ain't so good. Bride's parents are involved. The father and or the young man needs to ask the girl's parents before ever mentioning his intentions to the girl. He might be able to talk to her, but if he's going to want to have a relationship with her, even before he even talks about that, he needs to talk to Mr. So-and-so. And you work with your dad and your pastor on that because you want to think this out. And if they give permission, then you can, but you need to know, and the dads that give permission don't say, yeah, go ahead and fornicate. No, you got to tell them. You don't kiss her. You don't hold hands. And whatever you say goes. You do that and you'll never see her again. And you do something really bad to her, and your eye starts twitching. And you just haven't sawed off the shotgun. I just don't know what may happen. Or you have a 6'8" cousin standing by there going, ready to kill you. Bride's approval. So you do it. The girl gets something to say in this whole thing. So it's not a totally arranged marriage. So, hey, son, Joshua or Caleb, can I pick out your bride for you? Who really picked it out? Who was it, though? Eleazar. Well, it was God. Even there, it was God. God brought it all about. The dating dilemma is removed in this scenario. How many people do you know of today that were married following these principles to some degree? None. I know of none. But there's some that try and follow it. Even though courting is promoted by many Baptist preachers, very few single folk will follow it. So I've done that here. Those that wanted to kind of get involved with it, I told them the principles. Nothing against them. They tried, but they didn't follow through on it all. I'm not saying they fornicated. They just didn't follow it all, like I had told them. Because it's very difficult. The biggest one is the being alone together. I assume they didn't fornicate. I don't know. It's not. I'm trying to figure that out. I hope they didn't. But they were alone together. They traveled alone together. There's a lot of these things going on. I'm not going to say who it was. You can just use your imagination. And that's true in the previous church I was at, and probably every church out there. In general, they want to follow this, but when it gets down to real life, they're alone together. And that is not wise. So I wrote here and read that the example given with Abraham is not exactly modern-day courting. So it's a little bit different. But this might be the best plan of all, as we see in Genesis 24. So my definition of courting is not exactly what Genesis 24 talks about. So I wrote here's kind of an extended definition. It is simply a man, young or old, 20 or 80, under the oversight of his parents, now if they're dead, some authority, maybe a pastor, who has received permission from the candidate's parents, or another authority, to pursue a non-physical, chaperone, Christ-honoring relationship with her, with the end result expected to be marriage. So you don't just court like, I kind of like her, we'll see how it works out. No, you already got to kind of know them, just chatting with other people around, whatever, however that works. And that's kind of odd, but you don't get alone with them, go on dates first, and then court. But you can do it in a church setting real easy. There's a lot of fellowships we have, you just get to know folks. Go to another church. That's my advice to you. If you're single and want to marry someone godly, go visit other churches of Life, Faith, and Practice. Now around here you got to travel a ways. But that's okay. Go to these events if you can. Save up money. We'll try and help you. But maybe there's hey, I'm okay with online dating. Independent Baptist, not dating I should say. Spouse finding amongst Independent Baptists. And even Christians. You can just put in there, it's got to be Independent Baptist. I'm okay with that, Brother Eric. You say that's ridiculous. Well, that's just slim pickings, and 2 have done it, and it's turned out okay. You know who one of them is? That's the guy who's pastoring in Davenport. Yeah. Well, some would say, I don't think it's wise. So let's take a break. Everyone leaves.